All right, and welcome back to a Raptors podcast. I am your host, as always, Lucky Roberts, and I come to you after an 0-3 week for the Toronto Raptors, and it was expected. We played the Kings, the Nuggets, the Clippers, all teams that are actual teams, all teams that are better than us on our away trip. At the start of our away trip, we play the Lakers later today, and I think I'm just going to go out and say it. The Raptors are probably the worst clutch team to ever play in the NBA. They've had constant games. If I just look over our schedule here, we started out with, a clutch game against the Nuggets, against the Hornets we lost, against the Lakers we lost, one against the Kings, and then Nuggets and Clippers so far. That means we're like 1-5 in clutch games, and you can understand why. Obviously, I don't think the Raptors are outright just looking for losses. But, they're scrapping to get in these games, and then they just don't have the top-end talent to really, really get buckets when you need them to. But looking around the entire roster, as my phone goes off, which is awesome, if you just look around against all these teams, the Denver Nuggets, once again, another clutch loss against them, 121-119 here. We were up the entire game, at some points more than 10, and we just kept them at an arm's length. It was some, clutch buckets early in the fourth quarter, but when we really get down to it, our offense bogs down, and we just aren't able to keep up with Jokic. And unfortunately, Westbrook, who got sent to the line 8 times in this one, 10 times in this one, scored 8 of them. It was probably his best game all year. He's not being really impressive. I saw a stat where he scored with him on the court. Without Jokic, they're like 60 offensive rating. With Jokic, they're 100%. They're 100%. Why am I saying percentages? 100 offensive rating, and Westbrook is on the court for I think like 98% of those minutes that Jokic isn't. Basically, he's contributing to that 60%. But he had a good game in this one. He looked the part of an NBA player. 6 assists, 6 rebounds, did what he needed to do. Only 4 turnovers, which was, good for him. Didn't really shoot the ball particularly well, but, he shot it as well as Jokic did. Christian Braun had a really good game against us. He's sneaky athletic, and honestly, I always like to think that he's one of those white guys who gets overhyped because he's white. He's like, oh my god, this guy can ball, he's white. But honestly, he's shown some stuff, and I don't think he's as overrated as Tyler Hero is. I don't think he's as overrated as the Lakers guy. I don't know why I'm not thinking of him right now. But, I think he's properly rated as an NBA player, and he has a lot of space to grow. And, he's averaging 16 points per game this year, which is incredible. He's taken a bit of a step, especially as you've seen Jamal Murray take a step back. So he's sort of stepped into a role that he's not ready for, but he's stepped up and did decently. Michael Porter Jr. as well is always there. He's 3 for 10 in this game, shooting the lights out in some big spots. And the Raptors just don't have the clutch ability in them to take down the Denver Nuggets, to take down the Kings, which the Kings game was close in the fourth quarter. The Raptors were leading in the fourth quarter. You could call this another one of those clutch games, but it didn't end clutch. Raptors scoring we finished 95, we ended up scoring 107, scored 12 points there in the fourth quarter. And neither team shot particularly well from 3, but once again, they were leading in the fourth quarter and gave it up. And there's been so many of these games where we're leading in the fourth quarter and we give it up. And I don't think, like I said, it's outright Masai saying, let's lose these games, let's tank. But you look at it and it looks very, very much like that's what we're doing. Just to wrap up this Denver Nuggets game, once again, the Raptors leading throughout and just gave it away with a minute left. And I remember I was watching with my friends. I'm like, no, I think we win this one. And I'm like, No, we're giving it away. It's within 7 points here in the fourth. We're giving this game away. There's no way. We still are missing IQ. We're still missing Scotty. We're still missing Bruce Brown. We're still missing Kelly Olynyk. We're missing too many guys to actually get this. I mean, we're playing Fernando in this game. If you're playing Fernando, you're losing the basketball game. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Fernando played 3 minutes in this one. Fernando is not an NBA player. And you can see the same issue happen when we played the Clippers later on in this week. Jamal Shed, once again, impressed with him. I've really been impressed with the effort we've seen from Jacoby Walter as he continues to get settled into the NBA. He's not impacting the stat sheet incredibly. He's averaging 2.5, but the effort that he actually puts on the floor is really incredible. I've been really, really impressed with. He's shooting 18% from the field. That's got to get higher if he wants to be an NBA player. That's got to swing like it did for Grady Dick last year. But either way, I've liked the aggressiveness, the impact that he's made. He's had a similar performance to Mobo, a similar performance to Shed. He's just got to get those buckets to fall. He was a plus 10 in this one, the highest for any Raptors player. Once again, impressed with what I've seen from Abaji. This was a down game for RJ Barrett. He keeps missing these clutch shots. Missed some free throws down the stretch in this one. 2 for 11 from the 3-point line. But he is moving the ball without IQ and Scotty. He's sort of had to be that tertiary ball handler, especially because Davion Mitchell isn't really a great primary ball handler. And, he had 10 assists in this one, 6 rebounds, 1 steal. Happy with what I've seen from him. Davion Mitchell, he's going to give you good defense, 8 assists, not going to score a ton. Podol, really liked what I've seen from Podol. I might have to start actually saying his name properly and say Pirtle, or Podol, like Herbie Kuhn says. Yeah, I've really liked what I've seen. 24 and 11. Sure, he's going to let these big centers go off. Jokic had 28, 13, and 14. But at least he caused Jokic to have 7 turnovers, and he's getting buckets of his own. And I'm happy to see that. He had 3 steals. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Pirtle. I might have to change my mind about trading him. I might have to change my mind about his lack of a value in trade and my frustration with the trade that we made for him in the first place. But then again, it was a down year, and Masai did predict that. All right, moving on to the Kings game. Like I said, the Raptors were leading in the fourth quarter in this one. Raptors leading in all of these at one point in the fourth quarter, all of these games. RJ Barrett, a better game, but once again down the stretch, the Raptors falter and aren't able to get it done. Boucher, once a week, Boucher just has a 17-point game off the bench, and you love to see it. You love to see him hitting those threes. That's the swing skill for Boucher. It's a lot of guys' swing skill, but Boucher, especially because he's not going to be a big lumbering center, you really need him to space the floor like Kelly Olynyk. He's basically our Kelly Olynyk replacement. You're going to see his minutes go down to basically how much Bruno Fernando gets. And I'm happy with that, actually. I think that's probably his role in the regular NBA, is be a ninth man. If you need him to step in when a guy's injured, he can do that. But he's mostly a 9th to 11th man in the NBA. 17 points, though, 4 rebounds. Love the hustle, as always. Really, really good minutes. Once again, Jacoby Walter, plus 8, even though he doesn't score much. That's the hustle that he has. Our bench really didn't give us anything. But I do like the bench mix that we do have in Jamison Battle, Mobo, and Shed, and Walter. 4 J's is Jamison Battle, Jonathan Mobo, Jamal Shed, or Sheed, whatever you want to say, and Jacoby Walter. The 4 J's coming off the bench, plus Chris. 4 J's plus Chris coming off the bench. Good. Not as much of a good game for Podol. Still let Sabonis have 17, 13, 11. And offensively didn't get his game going as much. But Davion Mitchell stepped in there, 8 for 11. Liked what I saw from him. He's going to have these games where he goes through and pushes the ball a bit more. And I'd love to see him do that. Look for his shot a bit more. But it's hard when you're a little guard to find your offense. But he's working on it. And he's definitely getting offensive stuff sets going for the other guys, and so I'm happy with that. Abaji, once again, just hustle plays, made 2 threes in this one. His 3-point shot's really been coming along on the season so far. He's shooting about 42%, which is incredible for him. I don't know if that's going to stay. He's 56% from the field, they're 42 from 3. But if he can keep it at the high 30s, that is exactly what you want to see from him, and that's him proving he can be an NBA rotation player. And right now, he's starting for us. So once we get our guys back, once we bumps him down the pecking order a little bit, then we can see Ochai Agbaji really, really flourish and playing a role where he should be. And he was a minus 22, same as Grady Dick in this one. Grady Dick, a down game for him, for sure. Was incredible up until this point. He had back-to-back 30-point games and then a 26-point game against the Nuggets. Threes didn't land in this one and only played 24 minutes because of it. Just was, minus 22. All of our starters heavy in the minuses against the Kings starters. Our bench treaded water, but I think that was just, they were fine until the fourth quarter, and that's where you see that 20-point discrepancy that in the plus-minus box score. DeMar DeRozan, I don't know how well he fits with this team, but he had 27. He has really clutch buckets. He always seems to put on a performance against the Raptors, and he was their clutch scorer down the stretch. 27 points, a lot of twos, but a lot of tough twos that he can make. I think he's the best. He's the best deep two shooter in the league, and I think that's not even up for debate. Malik Monk off the bench did well. Sabonis, like I said, and Keegan Murray as well. And I'd love to have a Keegan Murray on this squad right now. I think he'd fit great alongside Scotty, and he fits great alongside the Sacramento Kings team. De'Aaron Fox as well, just didn't have his shot going. Going on to the final game here of this week. It's going to be a little bit of a quicker podcast this week. I'm sorry. The Raptors lose to the LA Clippers. Their defense was really impressive, and this was a game where they actually went into the fourth quarter down, and they were down for the entirety of the game. They go into the fourth quarter down about 8, and it's something that they can claw back from. They do tie the game, take the lead at one point, but just were never able to get in control of this one, and it was a great game from Norman Powell, a great game from James Harden. Norman Powell currently averaging 25 points per game. Incredible. I love to see it from him. And he had a great quote in the media saying, I've been working for this for, 8 years. I've been working to become a starter and have faith with me with the ball in my hands, because he's an outright scorer. And with Kawhi injured, he's had to step into that role. And with the trade of Paul George, or the leaving of Paul George, he's had to step into that role. The Paul George, Kawhi Leonard role of just get me points. I guess the Paul George role, defensively he's nothing, but he's always been nothing. And he's just shooting the crap out of the ball right now. 50% from the 3-point arc. He's on my fantasy team right now, and I'm just waiting for him to come back to earth, but he just never seems to. I think once Kawhi comes back, maybe I'll see about moving him and capitalizing on his high value at the moment, but just love what I see from Norman Powell, and I'm just really happy for the guy, because he had a similar breakthrough the last year he was on the Raptors, where it was just like, we just got to get Norman Powell the ball. He's one of our only NBA players at the moment, and he was going off for 20 every single day, hitting really, really tough shots, and once again, finally then he goes to the Clippers. Finally, he's able to earn himself a starting spot, a top 3 spot where he's getting a lot of these shots, a lot of the ball, and he's showing why he deserves that. And yeah, very happy for Norm Powell and how he's playing so well so far this season. Obviously, it's going to come back down to earth, but he's playing at an all-star level. If he continues to shoot 50% from the 3-point line, there's no way you can keep him off a ballot. There's no way. And he's been the reason that the Clippers are 6-4 right now and that they're treading water without Kawhi. And he's been really, really impressive. Obviously, James Harden is a big reason for that as well, but he's a lot more of a free throw merchant than I think Norm Powell is. Obviously, Harden's going to hit some big shots, as we saw in the opener, as we see every single day, but a lot of his big shots are just getting to the free throw line. He gets bailed out a lot from calls. I just think Harden had 12 rebounds in this one, 7 assists. And once again, this was another down game from Podol. Zubac is 14 and 12. That's fine, I guess. You're going to allow him to do that. But once again, Poeltl doesn't really get into his offense. He's 1 for 6 from the field. Had 12 rebounds of his own, but offensively not really doing anything. 3 blocks. And this was the comeback game for Immanuel Quickley, and I'm happy to have him back. There was a huge 3 he hit in the fourth quarter in this one to make it 102-102. And, you could see him going up to the wall and talking back, and that's exactly what you like to see from Immanuel Quickley. He's finally back on the court, and we're getting healthier, and we're competing against a Clippers team that is 6-4. That is a good Clippers team. Our defense did also step up in this one. Boucher with 14 off the bench. Good to see from him. Fernando gets 9 minutes. I don't know why he would get 9 minutes in this one. Just play Mobo, please. But Mobo was, I guess, a -11 in this one. So when he's not going on, you sort of have to bring Fernando on for more minutes. But Mitchell actually coming off the bench now, and that's going to be his role. And he sort of took up all of Shed's minutes off the bench. And so I think we might see Shed with Quickley and Mitchell healthy go and work on his stuff in the G League. But and if that is what happens, I'm happy with what I've seen from him so far this season. I really am happy with what I've seen, and I'm looking forward to see him develop like a Norm Powell did in the future. He's been really, really impressive, and when Scotty comes back and Kelly Olynyk, we're going to see the same thing for Mobo. We're going to see the same thing for Jacoby Walter. Walter didn't even play in this one. A down game for Barrett once again. He finally has somebody else to pass the ball to, so he doesn't have to have a great game for them to compete in this one. But 13 points, -11. And you see the assists really, really stretched out, and I love seeing how much the ball is moved with this basketball team. Grady Dick, plus 13, hit a couple of threes, 15 points. Once again, with Quickley in, that's probably about the amount of shots he's going to be getting, is about 12. Even that's a little steep. Same thing with Abaji, 14 points. He had it going in this one, hit 3 threes, so I can understand why you bump him up to 14 shots per game. But once again, a little steep. But the Raptors team continue to push on. They continue to fight for these wins. And upcoming on the schedule for the Raptors, we play the Lakers tonight. Once again, I think we got killed by the Lakers last time we played them. Probably going to be a similar outcome. Day-to-day out. Jacoby Walter is out once again. We have the Lakers, the Bucks, which we actually probably could steal, and then the Pistons and Celtics is going to be the next week I talk to you guys about. It's the end of our road trip with the Lakers and Bucks, a Pistons home game, and then one more road game against the Celtics. I think we beat the Pistons. We can go 2-2 in this week, and I actually probably would expect that, but I'm more thinking 1-3 here with the Raptors. And we're currently 2-8, exactly where I think everybody wanted us to be. But we are not last in our division. We are ahead of the Nick Nurse-led Kyle Lowry having Philadelphia 76ers. And I'm a little upset because of that Kyle Lowry part, but that's how it goes. Maybe he'll have to be moved to a more championship-ready team like the Raptors. We'll have to see. But 76ers really, really struggling. And the Raptors, did get a win against the 76ers, so understandable. Looking ahead, Lakers, Bucks, Pistons, Celtics, 1-3. I'm happy with what I've seen from the Raptors so far, and hoping to see just what we've been seeing. Guys get healthy. I'm looking to see for us to compete. Obviously, we're going to drop games down the stretch. We don't have that top end quality, but really like what I've been seeing competition-wise, just being in every single game. And I love what I've seen from growth-wise from our rookies. Anyway, that's a Raptors podcast. Thank you guys for listening. You can follow me on Twitter. You can do whatever you want. I'm not your boss. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next week after that 4-game and the end of the road trip. So, thank you for listening, and never underestimate the heart of a champion.